Clear is that the 10 years of APC misrule and economic mismanagement has definitely created considerable suffering for the people of this country. From Kamakwie to Pujehu, from Kono to Freetown, and everywhere, people are suffering under the weight of corruption and the mismanagement of the All People's Congress. I have seen it at first hand, from Falaba to Kedima and from Thailand to Potloko. The people want change. The people are tired of the suffering of paying for a bag of rice at 200,000 from only 60,000 in 2007. The people want democratic change to end their suffering.
When you listen to people who want to rule a country without clear understanding of how the country's economy works, what the sectors are important for the economy, what policies are necessary to improve on the economy.
Because you're not going to know where they're outside. Now, where you can't inside, now you know the actual nature, the magnitude, enormity of the problem, and then you manifesto things that you get for tweak them, adjust them, for make you able to tackle them problems then.
What is now abundantly clear is that the 10 years of APC misrule and economic mismanagement has definitely created considerable suffering for the people of this country. From Kamakwie to Pujehu, from Kono to Freetown, and everywhere, people are suffering under the weight of corruption and the mismanagement of the All People's Congress. I have seen it at first hand, from Falaba to Kedima and from Thailand to Potloko. The people want change. The people are tired of the suffering of paying for a bag of rice at 200,000 from only 60,000 in 2007. The people want democratic change to end their suffering.
When you listen to people who want to rule a country without clear understanding of how the country's economy works, what the sectors are important for the economy, what policies are necessary to improve on the economy.
Because you're not going to know where they're outside. Now, where you can't inside, now you know the actual nature, the magnitude, enormity of the problem, and then you manifesto things that you get for tweak them, adjust them, for make you able to tackle them problems in it.
What is now
who have decided to sacrifice everything because they have a vision. Valiant men who have decided to sacrifice everything because they have a vision to lead the people of Sierra Leone over the next 5 years. Now is the time to ask you all to talk to the people of Sierra Leone in your opening shots. Tell them why you are the best person deserving of their votes. We have a well-scripted program, but tonight I have all the power. So I decided to veer off from the script for a moment and give you all what we used to call hot mental. I'll ask you a question or two, but I'll only give you 30 seconds to share your views on these. Today, sad news come on Makeni. What come on they say? One woman, a man threw away fuel pada, a light fire pada the woman, a born the woman. And in the way people can do against women, bad thing them, what they call violence, gender-based violence or violence against women. That thing waking up in Bokuna country. So I want to ask Una today, is for 30 seconds, if you are elected president, what concrete steps will you take to end violence against women and girls? Dr. Samura Kamara, if Salon people elect you president, what are the concrete steps that we go take for end violence against women and girls? 30 seconds.
To start with, I want everybody to know that I signed up to the International He for She initiative that protects women. I will therefore continue to be an advocate, a strong advocate for that matter, to support the rights of women, to empower them in all aspects of life, economically, politically, and socially, so that they'll be able to stand on their rights And that's my vision, that's my commitment to the women of Sierra Leone.
I turn now to retired Brigadier Julius Maada of the Sierra Leone People's Party. What you go do for end violence against women and girls?
I will therefore accept, say, the women constitute 51% of this population, and they should be equal partners in the process of development. And therefore, we should not abuse them. Domestic abuse of women is very rampant, and therefore we must take stringent actions to make sure that that is stopped, and also to make sure that we empower them to be part of the governance system, the all-inclusive system I have been talking about.
Thank you very much. I'll go now to you, Dr. Samura Kamara of the All People's Congress. Now, in Sierra Leone today, sports has a huge potential for our youth. But sports, and football in particular, are dead. How will you revive sport?
I must apologize for that, about what's happening to sports in this country. I do believe there is significant room for improvement. I know sports, apart from involving the youth, sports is also an instrument of ensuring that there is peace and unity in every state. And therefore, I will do everything possible to encourage, to bring back sports, clean sport, to schools, starting at the primary level, up to the secondary, and then the tertiary level. I will try to do that because I'm a sportsman myself, and I know the value of encouraging sports among our youth.
Thank you very much. Dr. Samura Kamara of the All People's Congress. So we'll turn now to retired Brigadier Julius Maada. The timer is working.
Okay, the only time we don't go African Nations Cup, at the time we've been there in government. We qualify for the Nations Cup and we win the Zone 2 twice. So you can rest assured that we go revive and resuscitate all forms of sport for make sure say we put Salone again on the map of the sporting world. For expose, we picking them and give them scholarship and create a special fund. We go make the go to the international theater, then we side sporting they take place.
Thank you. Corruption. Two things where you go do for end corruption.
For stop corruption in this country, I go inject a huge dosage of discipline in the way we will govern this country. We have the ACC, which is one instrument, and we also get all the laws then way for support. What is lacking na the political will. We still get people way above the law. So that aspect, definitely bringing in the discipline, which forms a part of my background, we'll be able to add that to the institution and the laws then for make sure that we combat corruption in this country.
To the candidate of the All People's Congress, Dr. Samura Kamara, if you will kindly take your 30 seconds.
Thank you, Hassan. The fight against corruption will be my greatest commitment, the greatest commitment of our administration, knowing exactly the negative effects of corruption in our society. We already have an institutional legal framework which we're going to strengthen and make it stronger in the fight against corruption. But certainly also will engage and strengthen civil society engagement in the fight against corruption. Thank you.
Infrastructure development is a big thing in our country, and importance in any country. And we get two projects there right now with a very big project there, and an important project in the country. One at the Mama Airport, and the second one at the toll road. What thing are you view on the wire? And how you will approach them if you become president? Dr. Samura Kamara.
Thank you. I think the problem we get from my colleagues is to play politics with them. And a development that will transform this country. Both the toll road and the Mama Airport are two major projects that will create opportunities for economic empowerment, that will create serious jobs for our people and move the country further forward so that Sierra Leone will better stand the test of times.
Retired Brigadier Julius Maada.
Thank you. The toll road is shrouded in secrecy, the agreements and everything, and therefore we need to do a review. and also do what we call value engineering for determine whether we get value for waiting we put into that. We also need to do a complete and holistic evaluation of all other infrastructure projects going on, because as far as I'm concerned, most of them are sham, including the Mamama.
Thank you very much. This still that they call to sim and the diaspora. It don't become big issue. What you go do about this and about the Sierra Leone and the all winner people what they call diaspora now? Dr. Samura Kamara.
Thank you. I think personally, in my years in managing the affairs of this country, I don't see the advantage of having the diaspora firmly footed, providing resources and contribute to economic development. Fortunately, there is a constitutional provision which is diverse, also different from Maada Act. What I will do is try to create an enabling environment whereby the diaspora will continue to develop. Certainly, we look at the constitutional provision and provide a more enabling environment.
Retired Brigadier Julius Maada.
Well, actually, me, I don't get double SIM. I always don't be a Sierra Leonean. Although some people don't offload one SIM, but we believe, anybody where they out of this country, we're not part of this country, don't they contribute, we for encourage them. We not for use the law as it has been used for discourage them or exclude them from the political processes, because they are part of the economy of this country and they contribute immensely. So it is a law that we have to review.
Now I'm going to read this here small by English.
Again?
Existing investments. Oh no, you don't talk about diaspora. Yes. Existing investment agreements between governments and companies contain duty waivers, exemptions, and tax holiday provisions for companies. This has resulted in severely reduced financial benefits for the state from the exploitation of our natural resources. What would you do differently with respect to large-scale investment in natural resources if you win power? Dr. Samura Kamara of the All People's Congress.
I think two things. The first one is, what do you do to attract quality investment? And secondly, how do you ensure that this investment is to the benefit of the country? Certainly, there are in our tax regime. Possible that we have an onerous tax regime. Secondly, and more importantly, we ourselves as a nation must be quite prepared to discuss with investors so that we have a profitable investment environment.
Thank you very much. Now we turn now to retired Brigadier Julius Maada.
Well, definitely we don't benefit from the vast natural resources we'll get, because we not only make proper arrangement for we own share as a country, and for make sure the communities that we suddenly pull down minerals there, themselves also get. So we get for make sure we put farm laws in place, we go make sure the communities in this country at large get what they forget from every activity we involve minerals.
So we go to the next round, and before that, we'll play one short clip where they show a snapshot of life in Sierra Leone today.
Water problem, we have too much from January to February, March now. No get water again. Pass some, then go na the swamp, then go dig. Well, that digging the back na clay na they come on. That's the way you drink yourself. So then pass them put them close before you drink.
Any hospital, then they treat me, then they ask me for anything. Then they ask me for anything, and then they give me the kind medicine where the complaint I go with, then they give me the exact medicine, then they give me the treatment according to the complaint. And I really tell God thank you for the nurses there. Anytime you go, you meet nurses there, accurate and active on duty.
When I see the losses, I could pass the profit because sometimes I can see like I can don't get like 50,000 profits, but side machine and bug machine pull, then decide we not get lights here, and I feel at the buy, and the cost of the fuel 1 liter is 7,000 euros, and maybe sometimes I know they get fund up to even reach 15 or even 20. You see, so now I can say well the losses I could pass the profit.
Block my head because we not get permanent school building, so we need school building because when the season they come and the community then take and make a fit for sale for make them go able to give a building. So I make over to say the only way we go able for help them, that's to go take them, block them, care and go there for them.
There are lots of changes. Some are positive changes, some are negative. The positive changes, there are some learning, there are some improvements in learning, really. But the negative changes, the teaching, the supplies of teaching and learning materials has dropped. Because since I started teaching, in the school that I was teaching, children will have at least 3 to a reader, but now we are supplied at 1 reader to a class, and we the teachers take the constraints to write on the blackboard.
You don't want to get CP. I can feedback with you because you don't match on now. Say no, I mean they do for them. They're supposed to do for me now, but say no, I mean they do for them because of passing.
I know say when somebody idle must involve inside violence or thief, armed robbery, and for that we decide say look can in a bush, Lord they manage the life now. You see, but they find it very difficult really. Even survival for the day forget that it's not easy. My brother, I know they like for the road, a fine, a nice, a smooth, you know, get gallop, and they enjoy.
But from all the thing happen, I begin drink and smoke. Man, I rag nobody. I begin smoke, I begin drink, come like bang bang. Because I know where you encourage me.
No easy, because like me now, me bobo, I did jalo. They helped me greatly. They helped me. And they ride bike.
You appeal to them for say. Yeah, let them make down na 91 peace village we dey suffer, and if you look kill a better way the polio them. If una can't look at polio they suffer, forget what's on 91. It's painful.
One, I want that shift system to be completely abolished. Then secondly, that we should have enough teaching and learning materials. You see these children, when they have the materials, when they see things, they remember. But we only teach in abstracts.
I appeal to whosoever gets for can as a president after the election. I appeal to her for make them continue for improve on the free health care more and more, so that the system not will die down, neither it will fade away. It will continue for day on and on. And
I try for keep money for develop, but my share above. So pass that money with farmer. So me love, if you like say I will extend this business. This not go be bad. I will extend this business, and this business, if like there, I will turn out as concrete. I will put even split the much by God the power. So I like to want this community. They
appeal to any government where they can empower for making food support for the road native. Because the road, if you get the road and at the country, find the road and at the country, I hope so we not get traffic.
Me dream here for be, after I do achieve my education, for be member of parliament, for be I get it right for be mayor, I get it right for be liable work in education field, for liable get me aunt to month, liable do for me family.
As for me, I want to say I will be the biggest doctor inside salon.
Snapshot of life in Sierra Leone today, and it illustrates the most important resource that our country has and the challenges they face. And that resource is, of course, the people. Therefore, tonight, we will start looking at your plans for human development. Here, we would like to examine how you plan to tackle issues such as health and education, housing and water. You have 2.5 minutes, and we'll start on health and education. To Dr. Samura Kamara of the All People's Congress. Health and education, your vision.
Hassan, these are testimonies that we actually encountered during our campaign tour with my running mates and our colleagues who accompanied us. In many parts of the country, especially in the Sabo Islands, we see the difficulties of water, the difficulties of even communication networks, the difficulties of children deprived of educational institutions. We saw how really even transport facilities were very, very bad in those places. I will tell you, here and then, we started providing support for these people. I feel sorry for them because these are part of the deprived communities, marginalized communities. And I promise them that in our administration, we'll make sure that we bring these people at the center stage. Hence, we have our manifesto for the grassroots. On education, I was reminded by Mr. Abdullah Fofana of Yagoy village, who informed us that he had a 3-room school, where in the morning he will have a primary school, and in the afternoon transform it into a secondary school. That is unforgivable, and I think it rings the bell that we must go back to the drawing board and try to improve the livelihoods of these people. Water. In my village, where my father comes from, we're not carried to water. In education, I do believe that the youths are longing for quality education, for good careers, and certainly a quality education that will give them guaranteed jobs, not only for Sierra Leone, or the international community at large. And I can see students yearning for the opportunities to have really clean education where we need to look at the integrity of the system, because presently we have a lot of malpractices in the system, examination fraud, etc. We look at the affordability of schools, and we also look at pre-primary and even primary school, and then we move forward.
Dr. Samura Kamara, you mentioned that when you saw the state or somebody's life during your campaign, you felt it was unforgivable. Who or what will you blame for that?
Well, I blame governments, because governments have a social responsibility to provide for the people. I do that. And that's why going forward, I have to be honest enough to say this will be a topmost priority. And that's why we are factored in our agenda, in our manifesto. We call it the grassroots manifesto, which is looking at this human development aspect.
Thank you very much. Let's turn now to retired Brigadier Julius Maada. Your vision for improving health and education in Sierra Leone.
I will start with education. Education, good for personal development and also national development. The human capital, we the people in this country, are the most important resource we'll get. Sometimes when you ask a Sierra Leonean, they begin count diamond, gold. They don't even sabi waiting a gold, waiting a diamond. But we believe, say, the human beings, then we, the people, constitute the most important asset to this country. But for make it be useful to the country and contribute meaningfully, we need to get education, quality education, give skills and the knowledge we go make we free for move around the world, become competitive and also become productive in this modern world. Therefore, the flagship program of the new manifesto, the People's Manifesto, now free education for all kids from primary school to secondary school. A lot of people, they drop out of school because they don't get money for pay the little that they need for pay. Me, don't say I go pay, as a government, we go pay for all kids in primary school, public primary school and secondary school. Sometimes they say it's very expensive, but I always tell people, they say, for spend by the human being, for me, not expensive. If you want, try ignorance. Ignorance is more expensive than education. Health, you cannot develop without a healthy population. And therefore, we therefore make sure, say, the limited investment we would put into the health sector, we actually develop not only the physical infrastructure, but also the human resource capacity for able to do what we call disease prevention, disease control, and also disease surveillance. We therefore make sure, say, we get the right people for able to do all of the things in the health sector, so that we could get a healthy population for undertake the development aspirations of our country.
Can you flesh out a little bit on what you mean by free education? Does that mean people will not pay fees and anything else?
The free education where they talk about includes they cover pupils from class 1 till and down secondary school. Of course, we take the SS4 because now a waste of time where the APC bring. This particular program, they cover school fees, books and uniform and other educational materials. Then that means they do not get for pay for all of them things. And
how much will that cost? How much will that cost?
Say again.
How much will that cost the state?
I'm not getting you.
Okay, my apologies. How much will it cost to provide this free education?
According to the census, school census of 2015, we get 2 million kids we will get for work for. Using a unit price of 380,000 leons, that go amount to 115 billion. And we go able to get that money easily by making sure that excessive tax waivers and tax exemptions are reduced by 50%.
Thank you very much. Dr. Samura Kamara, Kanda Yumkela's vision for health and education seems very grand. Do you believe him?
Well, I don't know whether he knows the purpose of saying, but I want just to inform him that what is happening is fault of successive government, not only an APC phenomenon, but again, I think that again, my colleague quoted some figures. Yeah, he quoted some figures about the cost of primary education or education at large. I tell you, currently we emit 10% of the budget on education. That is over 5 trillion leons. And over 50% of that is primary education. Whenever you want to make free primary education, not to talk of high school education, you must look at the envelope, resource envelope, because you get competing development issues, you have health, water, etc.
Let me just hold you there, the presidential contender for the All People's Congress Party. We've heard the plans that you all have on building the health and education sectors in Sierra Leone. Let's turn to housing and water. First, do you agree, and not just you, all of you here, do you all agree that housing and water are priority issues?
Yes.
I do. Do you all agree?
I totally agree.
Moderator, you left me out again for giving me views.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
But I don't start with you, you remember?
Everybody you envision, they
yes.
ask their views.
I will come to you, don't worry. I go give, I go make you challenger, don't worry, I beg. But I'll just allow Mr. Samura Kamara, Dr. Samura Kamara, let him talk to us about housing and water.
I totally agree that housing and water are critical priorities in our manifesto, and certainly for moving this country forward. That's why we do realize that the shortage of affordable housing, especially for our public servants, whether it's the police or the military officers or teachers, nurses, civil servants, etc., it's a very serious development challenge. And in our administration, we'll do what it takes to bring about programs that will address affordable housing facilities. And certainly the biggest challenge is slum dwellers, where because of environmental reasons, they're really struggling. So we'll try to look at a policy where you can economically and gainfully resettle and relocate these communities to better housing facilities. We've already seen what has happened during the mudslide. The private sector has helped us with 52 very good housing units to which we are resettling those who suffered during the mudslide. And I think this is a very encouraging aspect. On water, I was saying, in the village where my dad comes from, I went there. I will tell you, I saw the mothers and fathers struggling to have clean water system. Of course, I have done what I have to do to even improve that situation. But consider if it were Samura Kamara living in that environment, it would have been a difficult thing, diseases and all the rest of it. And that's why in our manifesto, we're going to do everything to make sure that housing as a priority is ably addressed, but more so a combination between the private sector and the public sector. It has to be a private-public partnership, because certainly government is encumbered with other challenges, and given the limited resources in the budget, government cannot handle alone. But I do believe we have a competent and a willing private sector that will help us move these two sectors forward. But I will tell you over and above that, I as president, I have moved by the spirit of these people and the resilience that they have to withstand these current challenges until there is time for us to improve.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samura Kamara.
Alert from reminders.
It's very possible
Afro
that
Glamour
you
to
or
next
any of
events,
the other
planning
men
an
here
event
in a
budget.
few weeks' time will be the new president of Sierra Leone. Is there anything there that you might be able to pick in the case that you became president, or are there things there that are totally unachievable?
I think the difference between men. Hello? Hassan, I think the difference between men, them party there. is that I have a unique experience in managing these issues in a developing country. Me, I don't stay here for long, since the war until now. Some, they don't go overseas, they run away, and now they come. So they don't have the experience. They can, it's not papi, go to papi talk, also show talk. You cannot just come and give the impression that these are simple challenges that we just address overnight. No. So that if you look even at some of the manifestos they've written, it's all promises, intention without substance. We all know that yes, water and affordable housing are a critical problem. But you don't want to simplify it the way then they make it, like I say, you come tomorrow, you go.
But Samurai, you know, for complicates and either, and I don't know able to trust you.
No, I'm coming. I'm not being interfere.
The work and this, the problem.
Dr. Kande, Dr. Yumikela, I'm not being interfere or interrupt, so you be the talk. I just tell you, say, I, Samura Kamara, I have a unique experience over and above what you get.
Okay.
Manage the economy.
We'll hold it there. Now, plenty of people in Sierra Leone today say times are hard. Prices are high compared to their purchasing or earning power. This is an economy that relies largely on the exports of raw materials, subsistence agriculture, and small trading, petty trading. Our industrial base is very low, and we have a debt, a foreign debt, which has gone over $1.5 billion. What will it take to turn this around, and how do you, the candidates here tonight, plan to do it? Let's start first by examining your plans on jobs and revenue and reducing donor dependency. We'll start with retired Brigadier Julius Maada. You have 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. We have a serious problem with our economy. And to deal with this problem, we have to introduce some discipline in the way we spend the people's money. First is expenditure control. The APC government has been spending like drunken sailors. They've spent, the SLPP government left a reserve of over 5 billion leones and a foreign debt of about $250 million. As I speak to you, I'm just confirming what you said. We have a foreign debt of about 1.6 billion today. And of course, that tells you there is no reserve at all. This sort of reckless spending on the part of the government has created serious challenges for the people of this country. We have to introduce stringent measures. We also have to mobilize domestic revenue. We have to stop excessive tax exemptions due to waivers. That way we can create the savings necessary to support the government to pay for some of the essential services instead of having to depend on other countries or development cooperation partners to fund our own existence as a government. There is excessive expenditure on foreign travels. There is also a lot of use of foreign exchange on contracts within the country. These are things that we have to stop. So apart from mobilizing domestic revenue, we also have to make sure that we diversify our economy to be able to have more sources of revenue. And I have identified tourism as one of those areas to create more bases to diversify our revenue base. We transform the agriculture sector by certain policies to make sure that these productive sectors add up to our revenue base. I am going to seriously take action in the fishery sector so that we can have more revenue.
Thank you very much, retired Brigadier Julius Maada. Could you just expound a little bit on the fishing sector? What will you do to make it different from what it is today?
We are losing quite a lot of money in that sector. We are not surveillancing our territorial waters. The governance of our fishery sector is non-existent. The license have not been monitored. So we are getting a meager sum of money from our fishery sector. So we have to look at that very seriously. For agriculture, we have to make sure that we can produce enough food and also cash crops and animals husbandry. We have to make sure that we can produce enough to eat at home and to sell so that we can generate foreign revenue for this country. That is how I intend to embark on the increasing the revenue or the intake of the government. We have the least domestic revenue mobilization effort in the whole of Africa. While Liberia is doing 18% of GDP and Guinea 17% of GDP, we are doing a mere 11.1% of GDP.
Thank you very much. And I'd like us to talk about violence and national cohesion. If you were to become president of Sierra Leone, and even in the run-up to the election that could make you president of Sierra Leone, how will you assure us that you, your party, including supporters and operatives, will have no hand in violence, and that post-election you will work for peace and national inclusivity and cohesion? I'll give you 1 minute for that. Dr. Samura Kamara.
I think, Hassan, it's fair to say that the last 10 years, we've really enjoyed peace and tranquility. And therefore, it is important that during these elections, we try to ensure that there is peace and stability. You don't want our youth or any of them to die just for one event, which occurs on the 7th of March. We don't like that. But I think what is worrying is violence is normally associated where politicians like us who want to be heads of state are so desperate that at any cost we must be winners and become presidents. And that's why we try to use the youth wrongfully to drive our ambition. And this is why I want to preach against. But I will tell you that our party, the APC, is very much committed to ensure that there is peace and quiet during the elections.
Thank you very much indeed, and we'll quickly go to retired Brigadier Julius Maada.
Well, I will start by saying that I'm a victim of APC violence. I was attacked in broad daylight in Bowtown and injured. I went to hospital and I had to be treated, and that created a lot of commotion. Having said that, violence is actually a national malaise, and that is because of the fact that law enforcement is very weak in this country. And really, when you talk about the weakness of law enforcement, it starts from State House. Certain people are favored. But you can rest assured that the SLPP, which believes that there is only one country for us as one people, we will do everything to make sure that this election is violence-free. We lost the last election under very dubious circumstances, but I followed the rule of law. We will always follow the rule of law, but we are going to assert our position that the election must be free and fair, transparent, and above board.
So you've all spoken, and we've given you a chance a few times to challenge each other. Now, I'd like to give you all 3 minutes each so that you can remind the people of Sierra Leone about the good plans that you say you have for them and why you are the man for the position of the presidency of Sierra Leone. Dr. Samura Kamara of the All People's Congress.
Thank you, Hassan. We fumble them. Today, a big day for we all. Don't listen to 6 of we who want to be presidents of this country or lead UNA to the next 5 years. I want to tell UNA say, Since the war ended, we signed peace in 2002. Can we not make enough progress or move forward promoting cause the civil war in this country? In the process, we don't suffer a terrible disease, don't suffer a terrible environmental disaster, don't suffer other forces. We make them and find ways for finance our economic development. But I can tell now one thing, and I also would all know that the greatest development we don't see in Australia during the last 10 years of the APC government. Now the APC no more. I don't make sure today we don't get well over 1,700 kilometers of road. And we'll continue for build more roads. Because the colleagues are waiting up now, none of them know they drive the Mosokana Gota, then they drive na the good road. But they're still blind for CC, nothing will not do, a road development no matter. We don't try for improve the energy sector, or make sure say energy available to everybody in the country. We'll not get there yet, but certainly we will try for move for expand energy supply. Similarly, in the health sector, the lesson we learn from Ebola, it tell we say we need for do more on the health sector to make them responsive and resilient. We need for do more or involve with local communities. We see how partnership with the local communities, good partnership with international development partners will carry way forward. We need to do more in the water system, even though today almost all the major towns in this country get water system over the last 10 years. In education, we don't build more schools, bigger enrollment. All universities today as composed to the time we only get 2. I think we don't do very well. Teachers are better remunerated. In the security sector, the police, the army, and all other security apparatus, they all don't try to improve the operational qualities and moving forward. Yes, we have to do more. And that's why it is good when I get somebody like me, we'll get experience, we honestly appreciate what the government don't do before, not for deny like a blind, and then for try for move forward and do more together with Una. I need Una support. This is my Sierra Leone, your Sierra Leone.
We'll now call upon the final presidential candidate at this presidential debate tonight to give his final pitch to the people of Sierra Leone. Retired Brigadier Julius Maada of the Sierra Leone People's Party.
The people of Sierra Leone, I have served this nation as your head of state, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Sierra Leone, and your first Chief of Defense Staff. So I have the unique experience of running a state, and I did so when it was at war. If you want to hit the ground running, then I am your best candidate. Me, not to apprentice. I have come from a disciplined background. I promise to provide credible, disciplined leadership to help us move the development process in this country. With every modesty, I am one of the most enduring political figures of our time and the most popular at this point in time. Many remember and think and call me the father of democracy because I promised democracy for this country and I delivered. I promised peace for this country and I delivered. So when I make my promises, it is against a credible track record that you can rely on. I have fought for this nation. When many were hiding, I fought for you. I also have a credible plan to save this nation, and I have a credible team to help me execute that plan. I have said this election is about the future of our great nation, Sierra Leone. The future of our children, the future of our grandchildren. The people of this country are suffering immensely under the weight of rampant corruption and mismanagement of the APC. So if you want democratic change to end their suffering, vote Julius Maada Bio and the SLPP. If you want free education for our children, vote Julius Maada Bio and the SLPP. If you want jobs for our youths roaming the streets, vote Julius Maada Bio and the SLPP. If you want an end to rampant corruption, indiscipline and lawlessness, where nobody is above the law, and I mean nobody is above the law, vote Julius Maada Bio and the SLPP. If you want good hospitals, good roads, electricity for all Sierra Leoneans, better salaries for our teachers, nurses, police, military, prison officers, and all public sector workers, then vote Julius Maada Bio. If you want efficient political and economic management of the state and its natural resources for the benefit of all Sierra Leoneans, vote Julius Maada Bio and the SLPP. If you want inclusive government, inclusive development, where everyone is in and no one is out,
thank you very much.
Julius Maada Bio and the SLPP.
Thank you.